the sky convulsed with shock waves. Mortars hammered the runway, glass shuddered, alarms screamed through the hangar. Sergeant Amelia Mia Parker ducked behind a fuel drum, eyes fixed on the only Apache still intact, her Apache. The radio burst alive. Any Apache pilot on base? Silence. Every wrench stopped mid-air. Mia's breath sharpened. She wiped the grease from her hands, locked eyes with the colonel, and said the words that would rewrite every rule, "Sir, I can fly it." Outside, 44 soldiers waited on a miracle. Before the dust swallows the base, subscribe to Raw Flair Stories and tell us, where in the world are you watching this from tonight? Because what you're about to witness isn't legend, it's what courage sounds like when no one else answers the call. The blast that ripped through Hawk's Nest shook the sky itself. Sirens cut into the roar as Sergeant Amelia Mia Parker ran for cover, one hand pressed against the flight line's wall of glass. Every heartbeat came with another explosion. A storm of grit lashed her face. Mechanics scattered, shouting, their voices snatched by the wind. She turned toward the far corner where Apache 734 gleamed under a torn tarp, the machine she had resurrected bolt by bolt through nights that smelled of oil and fear. The lieutenant colonel's voice cracked across the loudspeaker again. Any Apache pilot on base? Silence stretched, heavier than the dust. Even the tools seemed to listen. Mia's pulse hammered in her ears. She knew every wire, every turbine whine, every vibration that made that helicopter breathe. Her father's ghost lived in that hum, the calm tone that once told her, "The sky is the only place where you can be truly free." She stepped from the crowd before she could think. "Sir, I can fly it." Heads whipped around. Some mouths formed questions, others prayers. The colonel stared at her, eyes wide behind soot-rimmed lashes. "Your maintenance crew," he said slowly. "Yes, sir," she replied. "But I built her. She'll listen to me." Outside, another impact cratered the runway, spraying a cloud that burned in the sun. The colonel looked toward the column of smoke curling from the convoy's direction, then back to her grease-streaked face. "Get it airborne, Sergeant." Mia ran. The world became motion and noise. Sand and sunlight chased her boots as she sprinted across the tarmac. The Apache loomed ahead, metal glinting like a living heartbeat. She climbed the stub wing, slid into the pilot's seat, and pulled the harness tight. Her hands trembled once, then steadied over the controls. Everything she'd memorized as a mechanic now aligned like instinct. She pressed the starter. The turbines coughed, then roared awake. Dust spiraled outward, scattering tools across the hangar floor. The helicopter shuddered, finding its rhythm, the same rhythm she'd chased since the day she lost her father. Through the headset came the colonel's voice, rough but steady. "Mechanic or not, you're our only air support. Call sign. Grease 1. She smiled faintly. "Copy that. Hawk's Nest, Grease 1 lifting off." The rotors blurred into a bright halo. Wind slammed into the hangar walls, ripping tarps loose. Mechanics shielded their faces, watching the woman who once fixed their engines rise into the firelight. The desert spread open, an ocean of heat and danger waiting to consume 44 men. Mia Parker took the sky. The desert glared like a furnace. Wind whipped red sand against the Apache's skin as Sergeant Amelia Mia Parker leveled the bird over Hawk's Nest. The world below was chaos, smoke rising where the mortars had landed, trucks overturned, wounded men crawling for cover. The horizon shimmered with heat. Through the headset came the colonel's voice, tight and brittle. "Grease 1, status?" "Systems green," Mia replied. "I've got eyes on the convoy." Her voice didn't shake. The machine's heartbeat matched her own. The HUD flared pale green boxes over 5 vehicles speeding through dust trails, 2 armored, 3 open beds loaded with munitions. Enemy trucks. They were closing on a squad pinned behind a broken wall. Mia's breath slowed. Her hands steadied on the cyclic. She locked the Hydra rockets. The sight centered. One exhale. She pressed. A white line ripped the horizon. The lead truck burst into fire, a rolling bloom of flame and black metal curling skyward. Static exploded in her ear. Direct hit, Grease 1. She banked right, sand streaking across the canopy. Another vehicle swerved, turning its turret toward her. The 30mm cannon growled alive, spitting brass into the sky. Mia rolled hard left, countering with flares. Light flashed past the cockpit, hot, clean, blinding. The Apache responded like it had waited its whole life for her hands. "Second truck disabled," she reported. "I'm going in again." Her world narrowed to wind and rhythm. Every switch, every throttle motion spoke to her in the language of trust. Beneath her, 44 soldiers held their breath in the dirt. One mechanic's defiance had turned into their last defense. The ground team's radio cracked through the din. "They're breaching the line. Grease 1, we're outnumbered." Mia angled lower, skimming heat waves. The rotor wash kicked up sand that gleamed like sparks under the noonday sun. "Hold position," she said. "I've got you." She lined up the reticle on the last armored vehicle. Her fingers danced across the controls. Rockets screamed away, 2 bright streaks, perfect arcs. Impact. The explosion bloomed in crystal clarity, throwing debris high into the air, fragments glittering like shattered glass. The radio erupted in cheers. "You saved them. They're pulling back." Mia smiled for a heartbeat, then the cockpit alarm shrieked, the thin, rising scream of a missile lock. Instinct snapped through her. Countermeasures. Flares now. The Apache bucked right. A flash tore past, exploding midair in a burst of white fire. The shockwave jolted her seat, rattling every panel. Instruments flickered amber, then steadied. Smoke trailed behind. "Grease 1, your tail's smoking," the colonel warned. "Copy," she said through grit teeth. "Damage manageable. Staying on target." Her reflection flickered in the glass, eyes sharp, jaw tight, dust streaking her cheeks. She wasn't flying for medals, not for orders. She was flying for the promise she made to a photograph taped above the altimeter, "For Dad who flew, so I could dream." The Apache circled once more, blades flashing silver in the desert sun. The last enemy truck turned and fled into the horizon. Below, medics rushed from cover toward the surviving soldiers. The radio carried one cracked voice over the static, "Whoever's in that bird, thank you." Mia exhaled, glancing toward the fading smoke. "You're welcome," she whispered. The engine purred, wounded but alive, just like her. The horizon looked alive, a pale gold shimmer bent by heat, by wind, by memory. From her cockpit, Sergeant Amelia Mia Parker could see the black scars of impact where her rockets had found their marks. Smoke thinned in the distance, leaving behind silence and the smell of scorched sand. The Apache hummed under her hands, steady but strained. The tail indicator blinked amber. "Grease 1, confirm damage," the colonel's voice rasped over the channel. "Tail rotor bearings hit by shrapnel." "RPM fluctuating," Mia replied. "She'll hold. Return to base." "That's an order." Mia stared at the flickering horizon, the battered convoy limping away, soldiers still calling for cover. Her breath steadied. "Negative, sir. I finished the job or those men don't make it home." The headset hissed with static, but the order didn't come again. She felt it, the unspoken permission of trust earned in fire. The Apache's vibration deepened as she dropped altitude, skimming barely above the dunes. Wind streamed across her canopy, scattering sunlight into ribbons. Every motion cost more force, every control input fought back. Yet the bird obeyed. She could feel her father's old voice, not memory, not ghost, just rhythm. "Fly the heart, not the manual." Mia locked onto the retreating enemy vehicles. The HUD danced, shaky but readable. She nudged the throttle, aligned the reticle, and fired the 30mm cannon. Tracers spat out like molten stars, tearing the desert open. The last armored truck bucked, split, and rolled into a shower of metallic fragments. The ground team's cheer filled the comms. "Contact broken. They're retreating." Relief hit like a wave, brief, bright, and heavy. Then pain, the mechanical kind. The rotors screamed a note of protest. Warning lights flared red across her console. She scanned fast, hydraulic pressure dropping, tail temperature spiking. The Apache's body trembled like a wounded animal refusing to fall. Her teeth clenched. "Come on, girl, not yet." The helicopter dipped low, tailyaw unstable. She compensated, overcorrected, then found rhythm again. The desert blurred below, patterns of shadow and glare, perfect and cruel. Through the canopy she saw the base, tiny, wavering in distance, sunlight flashing off metal roofs. The thought of ground felt like something impossible, too far to trust. "Grease 1, we see smoke from your tail," the colonel said. "Do you copy?" "I copy," Mia said, voice low. "I'm bringing her home." The Apache limped forward, every vibration punching through her chest. Alarms shrieked. She cut auxiliary systems to preserve thrust. Every gauge read like a countdown. But the sky, open and merciless, refused to let her quit. The desert wind roared through a small crack near the cockpit seal. It sounded like her father's voice again, calm, patient. "Breathe, adjust, finish." She tightened her grip, pushed power to the rotors, and guided the Apache into a long, shallow glide. The base grew larger, soldiers running, pointing skyward. Mia's knuckles whitened on the cyclic. The bird fought her to the last meter. The tail coughed sparks. Sand and sunlight collided. Impact came not as violence, but as weight, the full gravity of what she refused to abandon. The skid slammed down hard, metal shrieking against concrete. The helicopter bounced, then steadied, resting at a harsh tilt. Silence filled the cockpit. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from everything it had taken to make it back. "Grease 1 down safe," she whispered. Then, quieter, we did it, Dad. The radio cracked alive with a single word that felt like a medal. Copy that. The rotors wound down an aching rhythm, their echo fading into the open desert. Sergeant Amelia Mia Parker sat inside the tilted Apache, breathing the heat of metal and adrenaline. The cockpit smelled of oil and dust baked under sunlight. Her reflection wavered on the cracked glass, eyes reddened, jaw trembling, hands still locked to the cyclic as if the machine might vanish if she let go. Outside, boots thundered across the tarmac. Mechanics, medics, and infantry swarmed toward her. The hangar doors groaned open and light flooded the wrecked craft, bright enough to blind. Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Whitman reached her first. His uniform was streaked with sand, face marked by exhaustion, voice tight with disbelief. "Sergeant Parker," he said flatly. "You violated a direct order." The base fell silent. The desert wind hissed through the hangar ribs. Then his tone changed, quieter, but carrying through the noise. "And you saved 44 lives." He snapped a salute. The sound cracked the silence like gunfire. Every mechanic followed, one by one, until the entire hangar moved as a single rhythm of raised hands. The chant grew, "Grease one! Grease one!" echoing off the steel. Mia's throat closed. She unbuckled, slid down the ladder, and stood amid the circle of dust-coated uniforms, too drained to smile, too full to speak. By the next sunrise, the reports had already reached command. The Pentagon called it an unauthorized emergency sortie. Lawyers interviewed her for days. But when they watched the helmet cam footage, their questions quieted. One veteran pilot, silver hair gleaming under sterile lights, leaned back and said softly, "She flew like she was born for it." Weeks later, the verdict came, no punishment, instead, a citation for valor and an honorary pilot designation. The call sign Grease One entered the record. When they handed her the plaque, Colonel Whitman met her eyes again. "Your father would have been proud." 6 months later, Alabama's sun streamed through classroom windows instead of mortar smoke. At Fort Rucker, Sergeant Mia Parker stood before a row of new mechanics. Her coveralls were clean now, her posture calm. "When the book runs out of answers," she said, "character decides who stands up." A young trainee raised his hand. "Sergeant, what if we stand up and fail?" Mia smiled, quiet, knowing. "Then you fail," she said. "But at least you tried." The only thing worse than failure is watching others fall because you were too afraid to move. As the class emptied, she walked the quiet hall toward a glass case near the exit. Inside lay 2 flight badges, one tarnished, one new. Captain D. Parker, fly safe. Sergeant A. Parker, Grease One. Between them, a faded photograph of a father and daughter beside an old Huey, sunlight touching their smiles. Outside, rotor blades thumped faintly in the distance. Mia paused, whispering to the air, "We're flying, Dad. Finally flying." If you believe courage means standing up when no one else will salute in the comments, and tap that red subscribe button below. Because some heroes don't just fix the birds, they teach the sky how to fly again.